What you're seeing here is a force being built to, one, be able to defend when Iran conducts a retaliation attack against U.S. bases and also against Israel, but two, to have the offensive punch to really conduct not a strike, but a campaign against Iran. And that means to take down their civilian and military leadership, all these repressive organizations, to include the IRGC, that have been punishing the people, killing somewhere 40,000, jailed as a result of it.
The momentum in the Middle East is growing louder and bigger. The drums of war is sounding louder and louder. Let's listen to President Trump and General Keane as to what is happening in real time right now.
Steve Witkoff is going to meet with the Iranian foreign minister on Friday. What are you hoping he'll get out of that meeting?
Well, you're going to have a lot of things are happening. You have Iran, and you have Russia, Ukraine, and you have the Middle East. We have a lot of things going. We have ships heading to Iran right now, big ones, biggest and the best. And we have talks going on with Iran. We'll see how it all works out.
President Trump confirming Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Iran's foreign minister on Friday to begin new talks on a new nuclear deal. Both sides reportedly hopeful on coming to an agreement and avoiding any kind of military action. Still, though, the president sending a, quote, armada of military assets to the Middle East, now in striking distance to Iran. New satellite imagery reveals some activity at multiple Iranian nuclear facilities, which were destroyed by the United States and Israel last year, we thought. Nuclear sites seen covered by roofs as Iranian officials assess the damage. Joining me now is Fox News senior strategic analyst and Institute for the Study of War chairman, General Jack Keane. General, always a pleasure. Welcome back.
Yeah, delighted to be here, Maria.
So what is your assessment of this armada now in striking distance of Iran?
Yeah, well, first of all, it is significant. And I think what's happening here certainly is President Trump has an historic opportunity here that none of the other 7 presidents who have dealt with Iran have had. And it's largely due to his own making, frankly. In the first administration, he killed the iconic figure Qasem Soleimani and absolutely rocked the regime in doing that. And no one prior to that had ever retaliated against Iran for killing Americans over the 45-plus-year history of the Iranian regime. He was the first and only to do that. And then he fully supported the Israelis in their 12-day war and also their war in Gaza, and delivered a decisive blow to the nuclear program that you just happened to mention that. And what has happened as a result of that? Given the pressure that's on the regime economically, largely the United States pressure with allies, their economy is tanked. It is in this most serious condition it's ever been in, and that is really what put the thousands of protesters on the street. They're fed up with the regime. They want a new regime. But also, they're weak politically and weak militarily. Politically, when the 12-day war was going on, Russia and China did not come to their assistance. Hamas could not assist them. And Hezbollah, who was organized, 160,000 rockets and missiles, 60 to 70,000 troops, organized for the first and foremost reason of defending Iran, never fired a shot to defend them. Their will was broken, is what the Israeli senior generals told me. So they are politically weakened than they've ever been. So what does that mean? That we're on the cusp of using a military operation to be able to finish this regime once and for all, to put it on a path where it's going to collapse. And what you're seeing here is a force being built to, one, be able to defend when Iran conducts a retaliation attack against U.S. bases and also against Israel, but two, to have the offensive punch to really conduct not a strike, but a campaign against Iran, which would likely last not for a couple of days, but actually longer than that. And that means to take down their civilian and military leadership, all these repressive organizations, to include the IRGC, that have been punishing the people, killing somewhere between 10 to 30,000. We don't know the exact number, but even the lower number is completely staggering. 40,000 jailed as a result of it. And also, destroy their ballistic missile systems, which they have been managing to recover since June. And I would imagine, given the indication that you just made, Maria, about activity at the nuclear sites, that they would finish off whatever recovery Iran is doing. This is a comprehensive plan to actually take Iran off the board. No president has had this opportunity. This president does.
Yeah, I mean, he's keeping us guessing, and certainly the people of Iran are desperate for some action. They want the Trump administration to come in and take out the Khomeini leadership here and the whole administration there. Would you advise taking out whatever's left of the nuclear, taking out whatever's left of ballistic missiles, or taking out the Khomeini administration altogether, or all three?
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. You would take down the leaders, we take down the organization that is supporting the leaders, the military, the police, the entire ecosystem that supports them, ballistic missiles, and the nuclear capability.
Okay.
There's a range of targets there to take out, and that is building the offensive capability to do that. Supported by maritime capability, we have brought in multiple squadrons of air power that are on the bases in the region, and there's more to come into the region to be able to accomplish what would be a comprehensive campaign to finish this regime once and for all.
Absolutely, an incredible presentation by General Keane. Thank you for your service, and thank you for sharing with us your thoughts. Your thoughts are aligned with the West. We are all in agreement. We all believe the same. Just the world needs to wrap their mind around what's at stake right now. We are literally at a watershed moment in history. We have an opportunity right now, and it's a window of an opportunity for humanity to bring freedom to 90 million Iranians. 90 million Iranians are now living under the worst of conditions. Others have called it one huge concentration camp, where they have zero human rights, zero religious rights. They are suffering horribly. That has been going on since 1979. But let's talk about the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks, when your own government turns on you and massacres thousands. We're not talking about tens of thousands. We're talking about 20,000, 30,000. Now the number is up to 50,000. When the government, who's supposed to be there to serve and protect you, turn the death squads on innocent civilians and murder and kill 50,000 beautiful human beings. How can we wrap our mind around that? The bigger question is, how can we wrap our mind around the world being so silent? Why is there no protests? Why isn't there any screaming, shouting in the streets of genociders, baby killers? How come we didn't hear any of that? We've spent 2 years since October 7 hearing the world call Israel genociders and baby killers, etc. But yet here we have a government who has literally slaughtered, massacred up to 50,000 of its own people. We have to think of numbers that are not just multiplicity of one, but every one is a whole world. Every one human being is so valued and so precious. No one is dispensable. Every human being is created in the image of God. And every human being has the right to remain alive. Every human being comes with gifts from heaven. There are no two people that are alike. God created every individual unique. This is why in the Jewish world, when you say you save a person's life, you're saving the whole world. Because that's how Judaism values and views the gift of life to this world. The day you and I were born, God said the world can no longer exist without you. which means you as an individual has a very unique gift, has very unique talents and powers that only God gives to you. And that's why you were born. That's why you are here in the world. That's why you are here. You are here in the now. So we need to look at every human being as so precious and value. And no one is dispensable. And hearing and watching what just happened in the last few weeks in Iran, where close to 50,000 beautiful civilians. And we need to personify it and put it in context. These are real people, just like Americans. These are real human beings, sophisticated, progressive, living with the times. These aren't some tribe living in the Stone Ages. These are real people who want to live a free life. These are people just like you and I. When I was a teenager in 1979, some 2,000 Persian children fled Iran and came to Brooklyn, New York, the Crown Heights section where I grew up. My rabbi, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, encouraged all of us to open our doors, our homes, and to take in these beautiful children. And I personally got to become such good friends with many of them. And you look at them, they're real people just like you and I. They had to flee Iran because of the revolution. And the parents came afterwards. Imagine these 2,000 children in a spur of the moment being transferred from Iran to New York. A new country, a new language, a new everything without the parents. It was horrific. But there was no choice. Both on the parents sending off the children. You could only imagine what that was like. And on the children leaving their parents. They were, thank God, reunited. But what came to my mind was that even though Iran and New York are far away from each other by thousands of miles, but we are all human beings. We look alike. We act alike. We talk alike. We're gifted from God. And we need to be able to think of them as human beings, not just objects that could be discarded as the government have done to them. So I ask you the question, why aren't there any encampments in Columbia University, Harvard University, in Princeton, in Stanford? Where are the encampments? Where are the students? Where are the protests? I don't get it. Just the world is silent. We just stand by and watch 50,000 human beings being killed, massacred, because the only thing that they did was they spoke. They came out in the streets protesting the tyranny that they've been suffering for the last 47 years. They deserve to be freed, and they deserve to have the human rights and the religious rights restored. So we are at this watershed moment of history. With God Almighty's help, let's pray to God that we can witness this miracle unfold right in front of our eyes. From a spiritual perspective, there is a great book that was written thousands of years ago, known as the Medrash, in the section of Yalkut Shimoni. And there it writes, there's going to be a time when the king of Persia is going to stir up fear throughout the whole world. Everyone is going to become scared. Even the Jewish people are going to be scared. And he concludes in saying that God says, my children, do not fear. Whatever is happening right now is going to be for the best in the end, because these are the times of the revelation of the Messiah. We are praying for the revelation of the Messiah. In the Jewish world, every day we say the words, as Maimonides wrote in the 13 Attributes of Faith, that every day we believe that the Messiah is going to come. No, the Messiah has not come yet. The Messiah, who's the descendant of King David, as brought down in the book of Isaiah, where he writes specifically that the Messiah is going to be a descendant of King David. When the Messiah comes, there's going to be a new world order. There's no longer going to be hatred. There's no longer going to be jealousy. There's no longer going to be any wars, not even illnesses. But the whole world will recognize godliness. Not only will the humans be transformed, but also the animal kingdom will be transformed. That's where the lion and the lamb will lie together, because their lives too will be transformed. These are the messianic times we're talking about. Some other religions believe that the Messiah has arrived already, but the world has not transformed, hasn't changed. So that's not the Messiah that Isaiah is referring to. Isaiah is referring to a Messiah that's going to be a descendant of King David, who's going to transform the world, where these drums of war will no longer be, where we're going to turn swords into plowshares, where people are going to coexist and embrace each other. Instead of such divisiveness, hate, jealousy, and anger that's happening right now, the world is at the edge of who knows what's going to happen. That's not the Messianic times, but it's very close. Our sages teach us, just like the darkness of the night comes just before daybreak, so we are there now as well. So I certainly hope that our president is able to see this through, as he just told us he will. We certainly hope that, as the general Keane spoke so beautifully, that the world understands from a general's perspective, if not now, when? We got to do this. We got to get rid of this regime. There's no question about it. It's not only going to change for the 90 million people that are held hostage in Iran, 90 million, but it's going to change the whole landscape in the Middle East. Imagine when this murderous regime will be neutralized and a new democracy will be installed in Iran. The very first thing, as the Crown Prince Pahlavi said, that if he's part of the new democratic government that's going to be there, then he is going to, very first thing, is renew the diplomatic relations with Israel the way it was before 1979 and with the United States of America and the West. Could you imagine that? No longer will there be a state sponsored of terrorism, not to the Houthis, not to Hamas, not to Hezbollah, not to the terrorists that are throughout the world. No longer will they be funded. Iran will no longer be a source of evil. But if you know what Iran has been doing the last 47 years, with all of its wealth from its oil production, with all of its wealth, it did not focus it on its citizens. All of its wealth was to support terrorism and to annihilate Israel. If they would have only taken the same amount of money that they invested on the missiles, on the armory, on these terrorist organizations, and would have invested it in their own citizens, then they would have been living in a much better situation as they are now. They have had many opportunities to do it. As President Trump said that he is giving diplomacy every chance possible. At the end of the day, we're not dealing with human beings who we can negotiate and trust. There's only one way that we know, is the biblical way, like God told us about Amalek, about the first enemy of the Israelites, the Amaleks, that God said, you must eradicate any remembrance of their existence. That's the only way you rid yourself of such evil. When we do that, just fathom for a moment visualize what the Middle East will be like. Iran will no longer be an adversary to Israel, no longer be a threat to Israel. On the contrary, Iran and Israel will become tight allies once again, just like it was before 1979. The technologies, the brain power between the two countries could do so much for the world. Before 1979, there was a daily air flight from Tehran to Tel Aviv. That will be restored. Students will exchange. The people in Iran will become free once again. They're not going to be judged by how they cover their hair or what words they say. They're going to become free people that have religious freedoms. Their human rights will be restored. The Middle East will become a place of peace. yet once again. It's so attainable. We're so close. We just have to brace ourselves for whatever is coming. And with prayer to God, that the United States of America and its allies should be able to succeed with the light over the darkness and the good over evil in our days. God bless you. God loves you.